Most important thing what you can do in January and February is focus on a team meeting, a beginning of the year team meeting, which can move the needle. And that beginning of the year of team meeting is actually a planning ahead and problem solving. And this is the best time because now everyone has time to sit down and work through a process.
This was what you decided was going to be the solution. What's happening now? Like, why aren't we doing it? It's that ownership. I think that's important. That's what leadership is. You're leading them to an answer. You're not a boss. Mm-hmm. Bosses tell you what to do and demand action. A leader guides people and motivates them and encourages them to succeed.
Get to the understanding that you are not alone in your business and you should not come up with all the ideas by yourself. And you can actually, ask your team to work through things for your salon and clinic. It's going to work much, much better for everyone. And it's going to take a lot of stress off from your shoulder.
Hello and welcome everyone. It's great to be back. I'm Jodie Fielden and I'm here with my work wife and bestie and business partner, Audrey Varga. During these podcasts, we share how you can leverage your passion into profit, whether you're a budding entrepreneur, a seasoned salon or clinic owner, or someone who's just thinking about starting out. You're in the right place because we've just about done it all. And we're here to share with you that you can too, because it's time to believe your salon can be everything you ever wanted.
Absolutely. Welcome back, everyone. And today we're going to have a really interesting subject because lately everyone is started to worry about what's going to happen after the busy time. So we are in December right now. Everyone is in the rush and it's a very busy period. But then salon owners and clinic owners are really worrying about what is going to happen in January and February when everything is basically goes quiet, especially here in Australia during summertime. People are going on holiday and they really don't worry about hair or skin or anything. They just want to have fun. So let's talk about this.
It's I think if we start looking at this little quiet period after the big rush as a time to refresh and reset, have a look at what we can do going forward. And I also think we need to appreciate how far we've come this year as well. I think it's a good time to sort of give yourself a pat on the back, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. You are still there. You still keeping your head above water. So what we can say, let's reframe this period of time, the January and February. It's actually not at that time. It's a prep time. And it's very important for us to understand that to keep a healthy business or to create a thriving business, we do actually need to have prep time. We cannot just be always busy and running and working with clients because then we don't have time to build a business.
Exactly. And especially for our American clients, this is a time of year that's those couple of months before end of financial year, tax time. So something that we really want to point out that this is the time for you to be looking at what kind of spending you can do for taxation purposes. This is a kind of time where you can really have a look at your numbers. And I think universally, January, February, people are expecting pricing changes and things like that for a business.
I think now we sort of have, we don't have that kind of expectations that everyone is changing pricing in May or everyone is changing pricing in July. I think clients started to understand that everything is ever changing. So businesses must follow all the changes and some businesses are already doing 2-3 price increase a year because of that.
And I think it's better to have 2 or 3 small price increases rather than one really big jump every year or people that leave it a couple of years. I think that's more detrimental leaving it than keeping on top of it.
Yes, absolutely. That's only one part what we can do in the quieter time. But let's just get back to what would actually help you to put your focus and take your mindset out of fear of what will happen to, to the focus of what you can do right now in the quiet time to help your business, to set your business up in 2026 for success. And really, the most important thing what you can do in January and February is focus on a team meeting, a beginning of the year team meeting, which can move the needle. And that beginning of the year of team meeting is actually a planning ahead and problem solving. And this is the best time because now everyone has time to sit down and work through a process.
And so, what we might go into the elements of what you cover in that team meeting. Can you give some examples of what the structure of how that meeting should look so that people get a bit of an idea of what is proactive for a team meeting and what is actually necessarily and what you should be talking about, and other things that maybe shouldn't be in the annual team meeting that maybe it should be in a different time?
Yes, absolutely. So the first thing is what the people are always ask me, like for how long this beginning of the year team meeting should be, or how much time they should mark out from the calendar. And it really depends, because if you just have a small team, probably you will be good with like a 3 or 4 hours meeting. But if you have a team of 15, 16 and up, normally those salons, they go away for 2 days. And they go away and they have fun and also work on the business together with the team. So your team involvement is extremely important, because you cannot build a successful business by yourself when you have a team, because everyone needs to be on the same page. And this is your responsibility as a salon owner or clinic owner to actually keep everything together. And when you get to the understanding that you are not alone in your business and you should not come up with all the ideas by yourself, and you can actually, ask your team to work through things for your salon and clinic, it's going to work much, much better for everyone. And it's going to take a lot of stress off from your shoulder.
Can you give us some topics or examples of how that would look?
So we always, and I think what we're going to do for you guys, I have actually a 1-page sort of like a guideline what we provide for our salon owners and clinic owners. And we're going to make this available for you. You can reach out, or probably we're going to just put it into the description, and you can have a download if you want that document. But basically how it looks like, we start to plan for our beginning of the year meeting in November and December. If you are starting to plan in January, it's not going to be that strategic. So you want to plan ahead, and there are a couple of things what we suggest in order to prepare. We have a couple of surveys, and those surveys are going to help us to understand our team better. Some of the surveys are all about what they think, what kind of training they need. The other surveys are, we want to figure out their financial goals for the year or where they are at. And maybe we're going to have a survey when they can suggest, they can say what is really working well. And then they always can suggest, like we can think about to do or improve certain things in the salon. So once you collect these data, then it's so much more easier to work through everything. But once you get to the day of the meeting, you definitely want to start with a light refreshment or just a nice coffee. And then everyone should have an itinerary, so everyone will understand what is the plan for the day. And it's really good. And I would give this out a couple of days before the meeting, so they actually can prepare. So we always say start with the wins. So when you're going to start the meeting, you actually want to start on a high level. You want to celebrate. And this celebration should be a salon or clinic total celebration, like where you ended up, and also maybe individually just one really positive word for each of your team members, what you really appreciated last year. And it's maybe not that they got excellent with KPI, but maybe they were working really hard towards to achieve certain goals. So we always going to be able to find a positive in anyone. So just focus on the positive. The next one is you want to review last year KPIs. How is it going to work? Like it's actually depending on if you measure your KPIs. So measuring KPI is extremely important because you need to understand where you started, where you end up in. And we always say, like if you measure things in the salon, that KPI tracker is going to become your Bible because it's going to tell you exactly where you are at, where you started, what is the weakness of the business. And just based on that data, you can map out a whole year worth of plan for every single team member and for the salon altogether.
So some salon owners might be worried when we're talking about that. Do they want their staff to know how much the business made? Do they want them how do they get over that fear of sharing their business statistics? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing?
Yeah, look, it's very individual. I always encourage people to be very transparent because if you hide things away, then your team members, they're just going to create stories in their mind and they're only going to see the end of day, like how much money is actually in the cash register or in the FPOS machine, but they won't understand what's going on behind. So what I like to share, it was always two things. This is how much it's costing us to open our door, and this is how much we are making. And normally what happens, the team is actually very surprised how much is costing you to run a business. And it's a big eye-opener that sometimes the salon owner is actually taking home less money than each individual team member. So in my opinion, it's extremely important because you cannot build a business and you cannot run a business and you cannot set up goals if no one knows the end game or if they don't know where you are starting.
And I think that's a big thing that creates a lot of tension and resentment in a business, is because the staff have a fairy tale idea of the actual running costs of the business and how much the salon owner is actually making. Because all they think of is well, I made you $5,000 this week and I got paid $1,700. The rest is just all your profit. They don't think about everything else that goes into it. So I think it's really, really important to be transparent. Like you said, they don't need to know what's debt and what's actual expenses and all the rest of it. They don't need to know that. You don't go that far into it. But I think letting them know the final number of what we have to make each week to cover wages and the sustainability of the business, I think that's really important.
And it's actually when you share, it brings everything and everyone together for a better goal. And it's a little bit more understanding of the part of your team members going to understand a little bit more that what's going on. So I think it's very important to be transparent because if you want your team to be motivated and to involved and to work towards to growing or helping you to grow a business, then it's not fair that you just going to tell them you must do this, you must do this. People need to have a certain understanding, and if you don't give them the why, many of them, they are just going to be not motivated, disinterested, come in the morning, go home in the evening, and they don't care.
Yeah, I think that's a big one. And I think it builds trust then between the salon owner, the business owner, and the employees, because the employees go, wow, they trust us enough to let us know their personal information. That's a big, and a lot of respect is built there then. So,
Yeah.
all right.
So the next thing that I like to move on after when we celebrated and we looked into the KPI and everything, then we can go into a little bit deeper and a little bit more, almost like a more difficult task, which is we need to figure out what is not working right now and how we can fix them. Because this team meeting beginning of the year is really good to look back last year and all the mishaps and everything what happened, and we didn't have time to fix it because we were busy being busy. It's really nice to sit down with our team and figure out, all right, this is what is coming back time after time. It's time to fix. So how are we going to fix them, fix these problems together? So as a business owner, you don't have to come up. You actually don't want to come up by yourself, because if you just tell them, they won't care. Yeah. But if you involve them and if you do a brainstorming and everyone has their saying, you will be very surprised how good your team is actually to come up with ideas. And once you come up with ideas and you say, all right, so here is what I like about your idea, here is what I like about your idea, let's put this a system or a policy together and we can run with it. Just think about yourself, like if someone just comes to your place and telling you, you must do this, or if someone is saying, well, I think we are having a problem in this part of the business, I would like to pick your brain, or I would like us to sit down and figure out a better way to do it. Which one would resonate with you at the end when you come up with a solution? Even if the solution is what you already knew the solution going to be as a business owner, because you can drive the conversation to what you want to have the outcome. But it's so much better if your team arrives together that would be the best outcome.
I think that's really important with anything, is that if it's someone's idea, they're more likely to action it and be committed to it. And you can also, I guess, the benefit of it as well is that if they're not working towards it and it's not happening, you can bring it back like, hey guys, this was what you decided was going to be the solution. What's happening now? Like, why aren't we doing it? Like it's that ownership that, instead, I think that's important. But it's a nice way. That's what leadership is. You're leading them to an answer. You're not a boss. Bosses tell you what to do and demand action. A leader guides people and motivates them and encourages them to succeed.
That's gold. This is exactly what is it. Yeah. So then the next thing, we can move on to the next thing, which I think it's very important. It's to paint the big picture about individual and business goal alignment. But what I would not do in this meeting, I would not go into the individual goal setting or individual targets, what's going to be. I would take that to individual meetings. But when it comes to business goal alignment, individual alignment, like just big picture, I would start there and then I would organize the meeting individually with all of our team members, because every team member has a place in order to reach the big goal. Yeah.
And so can you give me an example of a collective goal for a business, just so that business owners know what's tangible, what's the right kind of thing to be aiming for?
So I think multiple level. Yeah. So you can have that based on the KPI, maybe your rebooking and your retail collectively is not right. It's very low, and everyone needs to work on it. So you need to focus on training, or you need to focus on sort of like role playing or helping them to understand how to become better, or why it is important for them and for the business to improve those numbers. So again, it comes back to why. So it can be, like, all right, so these are our weak points. You can have like maybe, like your client average at the moment is 150 and you're collectively going to decide how about if we just try to go 10%. So instead of the 150 is going to be 166. And when it comes to the Salon goal, normally what we are looking at, we compare year to year, and a minimum what we look for, it's a 10% growth. So how are we going to achieve that 10% growth? So the big picture can be really everything or multi-layered, and it's just goes back again to your KPI, and that KPI going to tell you exactly what you should focus on.
Would, if someone like Elle, have they come to you and said, like, I have a goal for the business to be Salon Owner of the Year or something like that? Is this the time to like be bringing that up with your team?
Absolutely. I think this is a perfect time to bring up with the team, because obviously it involves everyone in the team to get the title. So Salon Owner of the Year is not just about the salon owner, it's actually about the whole team. You cannot become a really great salon owner without your team or without managing or leading that team. So yeah, all those things can be part of the discussion.
When you're saying, like planning, identifying the different areas in the business, you mentioned individual plans off sideways. So would you be making, in this particular meeting, would you be having a look at like your suppliers and your educators and then collectively coming up with like some training that you want to do as a group, or what kind of?
Yeah, so I would, as I mentioned in the beginning, I would send out a survey for my team beforehand. And one of the survey would be about the training. And that survey normally is clarifying for me as a business owner that is my team member or my team members, are they looking for a new skill set, or they just want to upskill what they have? And then based on that, yes, it's going to become a conversation between us. All right, so what we can do. So if you have a bigger team, obviously you need to say, Sally, Katie, whatever, they want to perfect balayage. Can we do balayage in-house? Because maybe we have an educator, or maybe we have Susie, who is amazing with balayage, and the other girls, they have good skill with balayage, but they just want to upscale. So when it's not a new technique, you actually can do lots of things in-house, but you need to plan ahead. You need to book it in the calendar in the beginning of the year, because otherwise it's going to be very, very difficult. And then, yes, you have a look your suppliers, what they are going to offer as an education. You can have a look individual freelancers or individual educators, and you can map out, like, okay, so how are we going to go about bringing new skills in the salon? We need to be very cautious about our budget, because maybe you don't have $20,000 a year to spend on education. But what you can do, you can actually dedicate for each education 1 or 2 team members. They go there, they learn the technique, they bring back to the salon, and they will teach others. And it just depends who is good with learning and teaching, because you need to make sure whoever you send, they are not just good with learning, they're good with teaching also. And you can have multiple team members who are good, so you can actually alternate, and you don't always send the same person. So it's, again, these meetings are perfect for map all those things out.
And what I was going to say is, I think it's really important that what you mentioned earlier is that you book it in. You have to be disciplined for whatever plan you make in the team meeting. You can't just leave it as a plan. You actually have to execute it. And I think this time of year is really good to look back at the plan you made last year and see, did you execute it? And what have you not done that you should have done? And you can see now that, was it a mistake by not executing it, and just learning from that? Because I think a lot of us, especially in this industry, in the hair, beauty, skin, we're very good at working on our clients and coming up with big ideas, we're not so great as to execute them and put them into a plan of how you are going to execute it. And I think that's a really important part of, you need to be disciplined. You can't.
Yeah.
I speak to a lot of business owners and they're like, oh, I know this, I know that. Well, knowing and doing are two different things. And it doesn't matter how much you do in this team meeting and how much lip service everyone gives it. If you're not disciplined to carry it out, then it's a wasted exercise.
I always say to the salon owners, you as a salon owner need to understand that the way you show importance for these meetings, your team is going to come with you. So if these team meetings, and you can have the weekly check-in meetings, the monthly meetings, whatever, if you always move those meetings because a client wants to have an appointment, then your team, you train your team that this is not priority. This is actually not important. So you need to be very careful and very disciplined, as Jody said, and very consistent, that we don't move all those pre-booked meetings. We don't care whatever happens. Those are there. And we're going to treat it as like we would treat a client. Yeah. So yes, we don't get physical money for those meetings, but this is an investment of your time for better outcome for your business.
And I think it highlights the differences in the businesses that are profitable and successful, because they do prioritize this time and they prioritize investing time in their team, and they don't. And the business is set up and it's doing well. That half day or 2 days that you've closed down for it, the business has already generated the income to cover the cost of that. That comes into the planning at the beginning of the year when you're mapping out what your year's going to look like. Part of that is going into the planning of, okay, well, those days we need to make up the revenue on other days. So, it all comes into your budget and your numbers. So you not taking a client for that time is not detrimental anyway. So I think it goes hand in hand. And if you're always moving those appointments to take a client, then the business isn't healthy. Like if you're desperate to, we can't turn that client away, then the health of your business needs some serious, and this is a really good time to look at that and go, have I been doing that? Like, have I been stuck in that figure eight that you always talk about?
The crazy eight, isn't it? When you level up and then you fall back and then you level up, but you cannot go past because I always say, you only live in your little box, is your mind and everything else, your awareness of the environment. And this is when you need to find a way to get out of that loophole, And if you are in the position where you actually don't really have meetings, or you always shuffle meetings around, then there are other elements and very important elements of the business needs to be looked at, because that's just the tip of the iceberg. That's just a result of not having foundations properly laid down.
I was just going to say, how do you stop it from getting stale in the meeting? Because a lot of this can be really heavy. How do you stop everyone from sort of tuning out, or just how do you keep it fun?
So you need to break it down. And I think it's very important to map out properly what is going to happen at what time, during the meeting. And you need to break it down. You need to introduce little games. And because we are all creative people, games are really good. You want to have fun. So definitely, if you have, say, a half a day or more than 4 hours, you need to have more than 2 games. And the games are not long. And also, I think you need to introduce visual parts. Like what I used to do, it was, we liked it. I just bought that chalks, like when you can write on the mirror. And we had our mirror and we were mapping out with the colorful chalks. Everything was on the mirror. And then we were just going through, all right, so this is our idea. That was, I don't know, Troy's idea. That was Nikki's idea. And we were just writing everything down with colorful chalks and everything. That was really good. And also you can have fun games, like I really like to have games when we put team members in pairs and like they have to figure out things together. It's almost, and it's also good for building trust and relationship in your team. And you can get games which are helping them with communication, or you can have games when they need to build trust in each other. So these are the things what I would definitely put in.
I think one of the best games that we did when we went over and did Sarah's quarterly team training with her team is the drawing games. So there's this game that Adriana brought out, and it's a shape and you have to draw it on the person's back and they have to draw what you're drawing. It's absolutely hilarious. You think it's, because I always used to think, oh, games are just naff. I'm not going to do that. It's actually once you do it and get up and you just crack yourself up. I was the worst. My drawing looked nothing like what she was drawing on my back. Everyone else got pretty close. They were really good. You could tell they were a well-connected team. Me? No, I think mine looked like a chicken and it was supposed to be a house.
Yes, absolutely. And it was so much fun. We had so much laugh, and it doesn't need to be perfect. So all these games are, we are not, the aim is not perfection. The aim is either communication, trust, having fun. So I think it's very important. So again, this is why we are map out. We start at 8:00, between 8 and 8:30. We're going to have a coffee, a juice, whatever, 8:30 till 9. This is what we're going to do. You need to have breaks also. So that's why I'm saying, like if you are a smaller team, you still need 3 or 4 hours to go through certain things. And then once you grow, you can build on it. You can build on it. And when bigger teams are going away for 2 days, they are not bored. There are so many things you need to work through, especially when you have a big team.
Mm-hmm. And so what are some of the common mistakes that business owners make when they try and do these annual team meetings?
Firstly, I think the biggest common mistake is that they are not preparing and they don't prepare the team. So they just, okay, let's do this meeting. They organize it in the calendar and then they just swing it. And when you don't have direction yourself, you cannot run a business. You cannot run a meeting. So the biggest mistake is that you go without a plan, and you expect your team to jump on and to do miracles or miraculous things for you. The other biggest mistake is when you just going to be talking, and not involving your team. So you don't want to be the person who prepares an agenda and you're just going to read, this is my plan for next year, this is what you need to do. Then you are not involving your team. That's again, boss mentality. It's not a leader. Exactly. So it's not an involvement. It's not building a team. It's not building a thriving business. When you just tell them, they actually not emotionally connected to an outcome. And that's what is very important.
And I think that's the difference, like you were saying, between a boss and a leader, like a boss mentality and a leader mentality, is that if you're a leader, that they connect emotionally and they're emotionally invested in what they're doing with you. If you're a boss, that's it. Every negative connotation that goes with a boss is that they're just there to boss you around.
And also what I noticed working for almost 9-10 years now with our clients, that boss mentality attracts certain type of team members, and leadership mentality attracts certain type of team members. And the boss mentality salon owners, they always complain about, like how not nice their team members are, and they just there for the money and they are just whatever it is. And then it's very difficult for them to understand. It actually comes from you, from us, when we don't know how to be a leader and how to properly put together a business, and don't have the understanding that your business is nothing without your team. Nothing without your team. Even if you work for yourself, I can understand, like, okay, you don't want to have the responsibilities of the team. But if you just work for yourself, like I used to, and I was very happy in my little bubble world, yeah, but you don't understand that you actually going to hit your limitations pretty quickly if you are good. And then you're just going to work. And even if you want to create money, but you don't have the work-life harmony. And you cannot create that unless you have people who are supporting you.
Yeah. I mean, it's good. I think when you're a solo operator, you need to take into consideration, am I here to make money, or am I here as a solo because I don't want to work for someone else? Like, be very clear and honest with yourself about it. If people that do have a team and they do have that resentment, they're just coming here for a paycheck. Yeah, you're in business for a paycheck. It's all about the paycheck. Yeah. But it's about the environment that you create for that paycheck.
I totally agree. Absolutely agree about it. And I think it's very important for you to understand that even if you are a solo operator, you can actually have assistant or someone taking care for you for your phone calls and making appointments and everything else, which is going to free up a lot of time for yourself. I always think I've been in every ends of the industry. I've been a employee. I worked for myself. I was employing people. And honestly, what I can see, like, probably what I would say, I was most delusional when I worked for myself, because I had the freedom and everything. I created really good money, but then I didn't have the freedom in a way that if I wanted to go for a holiday, or if I wanted to drop my hours, no one would pick up anything. So then I would see on my income. But when I took over the salon from you, and when finally I figured out to actually run a successful business, how to run a successful business, this is when my real freedom came, because from 60 hours, then I went to 40 hours, then I went to just a couple of days a week, and then I went to basically just work one Saturday a month, just for fun, to spend time with my team, and I still love hairdressing and I'm still doing it. But when you have a team, you can do so much more, because this is when I opened my second business, and like I could focus on other things that were interested me in life. I could start my day later because my team was there, so I actually could do my exercise in the morning, meditate in the morning, go for a walk, have a coffee meeting with my friends, and then start at 10 or 11. I could not do that when I work for myself without losing income.
Exactly. And I think, and that's why, I mean, it's different if you've got a partner that can supplement it, and your solo business is just a joint venture in the household that, tops things up. Just being really clear, I think, as a business owner, of what your actual goal is. And most people I speak to, like most of the clients that come and talk to me about their growth, they're actually wanting to one day not be the main person in the business, or they want to sell it. And then if that's your end goal, then you need to think about, well, if it's just me, and we get very emotional and tied to, I've spent the last 20 years building this business and looking after my clients, and I'm making this amount of money each week. It's worth money to sell. I'm sorry, it's not, because you can't sell yourself. There's a certain amount of goodwill within it that you'll be able to unsell, but goodwill is just goodwill. And then you've got your fittings and fixtures. Someone buying your business doesn't care how long you've put into it. Yeah. So if that's your goal, like, or you're working towards a retirement type of goal, then you have to make sure that you're very clear about, it's okay, I know that I won't be selling it as such, so I need to make more money that I can put into my 401k or my super or something like that, because I'm not going to cash out at the business. Or if it's, I actually want to cash out in the business because I've invested all this money into it, then you're going to have a team and have your team working coherently towards the same goal. That, and what I was saying before is that we're all here for money. It's just about the environment that we're generating that income, and that we feel like we're valued as the business owner, because a lot of business owners don't feel valued by their staff. They resent it. We have, I remember one business owner that was highly offended that her team didn't buy her a nice enough present at Christmas because she buys them nice presents. And it's like, that's not your, as the business owner, you can't expect your team to be celebrating you like that. They will naturally, if you're a great leader and they feel that emotional connection to you on a professional level, you don't want to ever take it into getting entwined into their personal, but they have that professional respect for you, then they are going to do nice things. It's their, your team are a mirror of who you are, I think.
Absolutely, I totally agree about that. And also expectations, like they're working for you, you are not working for them, like it's our responsibility to look after them. So if they decide that, it's or their focus is not on buying a present for you, I don't think you should be really too sad about it, like.
Exactly.
It is what it is. You can have a self-reflection, like why it happens, but you can't make people to do stuff. Create freedom for yourself is actually to create a list of tasks, what you think you can delegate. And my way of delegation always was, here is the list, what I would like us to sort of, find people who would like to, take on those tasks. And then I had a list of, 5, 6, 7, 9 things what I knew my team can take on, but I did let them to choose what they wanted to take on. And instead of me telling them, hey, like, Serena, come here, I would like you to do this, this, this. And Serena is like, oh, I'm not really good at this. But if I have the list and I said, I think I can do this, then once you start to delegate, then that time what you are spending on very simple tasks, that time you can spend on growing your business.
Exactly. And look, when you were talking about the team creating, for example, Audrey and I, our team, we say this is the outcome we want to achieve. And we ask them, hey, can you put something together that you think you can do to come up with this outcome? And Charmy and Jess and Jean, they make up all their systems and their tasks and their standard operating procedures. And they bring it to Audrey and I, and they tell us how it's going to go. They train us to follow their system. So, it's,
yes,
we know
absolutely.
we know what the outcome needs to be. As business owners, we don't have to go and create the system. They create it and they bring it to us, and then we sign off on it, or we have a meeting and we make changes with it. So as the business owner, you don't have to do everything yourself.
And this is when, again, like, but I'm a perfectionist. Yeah. I used to be one. They doesn't work, because there is always room for improvement. And it must be room for improvement, because otherwise you won't grow. There is never perfect. There is no perfection in a way, like when you cannot find tiny things what could work better. But it's fine, like being a perfectionist is actually not a positive thing. It's actually your own limitation, what you really need to step over and say, well, is it really such a big problem that I will stuck here until I don't find a solution? I just step over and keep growing, keep moving, and eventually solution will come. Because in our company, I think what we do really well is that we are not perfectionists. We expect ourselves and our team to make mistakes, but we also dare to listen and to fix and to create systems and create better ways to do things in the company. And this is how we are growing so well and how we attracted the most beautiful team members we have. Last night, Jody just called me and we were just talking about how grateful we are for the team what we have, because we have beautiful team and everyone is so dedicated, and it just makes everything so much more easier.
And I think it's something that we do really well that salon owners all say, oh, we don't need to do that, is that we have we actually have 2 weekly, a Monday and a Friday team meeting. And Audrey's there with our team.
Yeah.
I can't always be there, but Audrey is always there. And it's just a 15-minute check-in and connection and making sure everyone's feeling valued and what can we do to help support them. It's never about what we need them to do. It's always about what they need us to do for them.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that 15 minutes is our gold, like this is what brings us together. And we are always there to listen. And if anyone has any suggestions, it's always being listened to. And we always say to our team, please ask questions. There is no silly question. We're never going to be angry at you because you are uncertain about something. Ask the question so we can actually find a solution together. And it works really well because they are not afraid of us. They have a respect towards to us, but they are not afraid of us not to listen, because we don't want to crash anyone's creativity. We want our team to feel free to create ideas and come back with that ideas to us so we can consider if it's a good thing, we can implement it in the business. And I never want anyone to feel that they have a really good idea, but they cannot tell us because Jody or we think we are better than them. We actually implemented so many good things in the company since we have our employees because of them. Because they are specialists in their field and we cannot be everything for the company. So we employed really good specialists in their own field and they free to give us suggestions. The other thing is we put our team to work together through different systems, policies, or standard operation policies. They work everything through together and then they present it to us. And we created, like those people, they never knew each other. And we created a really good team who can work on tasks together via Zoom.
And they feel valued. They feel seen. They feel valued. They love going off together.
So I was thinking while we were talking about, like all this creating freedom and everything. And normally on our beginning of the year meetings, we working towards to creating freedom for the business owners. And the best way to do that, starting to actually work through systems and policies for the salon. And some salons, they don't have any system, they don't have any policies. So these meetings are really good to actually, if you don't have anything, just create a list of systems together, what you should work through together. And I always say when we create systems and policies, me as a salon owner, I can come up with ideas, I can come up with the skeleton of the system or the policy, but I want my team to work through the systems and policies together with me. So again, I'm not just telling them you need to do this. We actually work through things together. And I think these meetings are really good to create new systems and policies, or if you have systems and policies, to review them. What is not working anymore and what needs to be tweaked, and you can do that. Another way to
and doing it, and it takes a workload off us. like we don't, and they enjoy it, and they're so proud of themselves, and I'm so proud of them,
And if you can book it somewhere nice, like if you can take your team. So we had once the weather was really kind to us in January, so I could take my team to the beach. So we just went to the beach and we had our meeting on the beach, because here in Australia normally very hot in January. But that day it was really good. So we just went to the beach, sit there, we ordered food and all those things. So it was really nice. But you can take your team anywhere, like you can just rent out a little place in a restaurant at the back room, like you can actually find a proper place. But if it's going to be in your salon, just make sure you're going to do a little bit of a catering for them. You're going to provide proper coffee or proper drink. Just, it doesn't need to be expensive. I didn't start it expensive because I didn't have the money. But the way I started it, I made sandwiches. So then the next steps to remember is you want to print out the agenda, obviously bring the snacks, and show genuine interest in everyone's input, because you really need to be open-minded. And please put every negative thoughts aside. You should not be offended about if someone is pointing out something is not working well in your business. For me, every feedback is like a golden nugget, because I purchased the ingredients, I made sandwiches for my team, and I made sure I ordered the coffee from next door. So that was a nice coffee. But you can make it on budget. It doesn't need to be high end. But once you grow there, it's really nice to have actually some proper catering for your team. First, you want to know what your team is really thinking about your business. And secondly, if you can make it better, why not? Just make it better. And it's not an attack against you when someone is feeling free to tell you, look, this is how it works right now, but I think it could be better. I think if we would do this, it would be better. So just prepare yourself. Nothing is negative. Everything is just a feedback.
And I think that's important, that your team aren't trained in how to communicate with you effectively, taking your emotions into consideration, whereas you need to communicate with them, taking their emotions into consideration. Yeah. So you need to be able to not expect them to be aware of how it's going to come across, because it may just come across in the wrong tone, or they may be a bit upset about it, or whatever. You have to just make sure you don't react. You can react later in private.
Absolutely.
And have a rant and a cry and are like, why don't they? But you actually want to hear those nuggets, because that little voice, it'll take a lot for them to actually say it. And it will be, they're taking a big risk in saying it too, in their mind, like what's the blowback going to be? So you want to make sure that they don't fear any blowback from you because you don't like what you're hearing.
And you can lose trust very easily if someone opens up and then they're going to be punished for it. So that's not leadership. And also, even if you hear something what you don't like, or, it's not something what you want to implement, you always say thank you for input and you say, let me think about it. You never have to give answers right away to anyone. If you don't know what you want to do about it, thank you very much. I took some notes. I really appreciate your input. Let me think about it and we can discuss further in our next meeting.
That's really good. That's a good little nugget. Write that down, folks.
So the last thing, just for a quick recap, just remember, use tools like surveys, visual planning boards, and even games. Very, very important to make it fun. Don't make it too dry and boring, because no one likes dry and boring. So you know your team, and just try to make it fun.
So what we do in saying that, I think you've got your checklist that you mentioned earlier.
Yes. So that checklist is going to help you to organize your beginning of the year meeting. Is going to tell you exactly what to do, what to prepare with. So if you are interested to have that document, just feel free to follow, I think, the link what we're going to put into the description.
Yeah, we're going
And
to go, there'll be a link in the description. You can always just send us a DM if you can't find the link. That's fine. We'll know what you're talking about, or shoot us an email. We're available. You can find us at
Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook is at FocusGDT. And our website is
www.focusgdt.com.
here you go. All right, guys.
Have a
We
Merry
hope
Christmas,
that-
guys.
Yeah, and we really hope that this is a little bit of a help for you. It's still plenty of time to prepare that meeting because it's just beginning of December. So, after the season, you can sit down and you can plan ahead. You don't really need to do this meeting in January. You can make it end of January, beginning of February. It's absolutely fine. But I would like you to consider to map out a meeting and have a look how it's going to impact your business.
Sounds good. All right, well, that's us. We will be back our next episode. We're actually going to be introducing one of our star team, Cheryl. And Cheryl is one of our support coaches, and we absolutely love her. So she was also one of Audrey's clients for a long time as well. So it'll be a great story to introduce you because she's been through it with Audrey from both sides of the fence. So it'll be nice to hear what she says.
And she's been through everything. She had her own salon, she rented chairs, she was helping someone else to build a business. So she has all these experiences and really great stories. So we will see you next time, guys. Bye.
Bye.